Don't mind me, I'm just counting down the days until Metroid Dread's release. I learned how to count based off of Mega Man games, and I kind of played them out of order. Probably not the best man for the job. Anyways, let's continue our little Metroid-a-thon with the next game, Metroid 2, Return of Samus. So last time Samus infiltrated the pirate base, stopped their plans to weaponize Metroids, and defeated Mother Brain. After these events transpired, the Galactic Federation, fearing any further misuse of the species, decided the best course of action was obviously... So the Federation sends down teams of soldiers to eradicate the Metroids.
A few moments later...
Healer's down! Healer
Out of mana!
So the Federation calls Samus Aran once again to go down to SR-388 and eradicate the Metroids. The first thing I noticed is the game looks great. Samus' sprite is so large and detailed. She also doesn't look like a xenomorph. Areas are nice and varied too, at least compared to the previous game, and much like Samus herself, the enemies are also very detailed. Honestly, I kind of prefer the enemy designs in this game compared to the last. We've got a frog, a weird Zaku head, a pancake, octopus. What? They just look so much more memorable this time. They move in such irregular patterns that it makes exploration a bit more interesting. Anyways, I start the game and immediately begin jamming to the first area's music. Makes you feel so excited for the journey ahead, just like the game that preceded it. But after a bit, I begin heading to the right and down into the caverns below, going above and beyond the Call of Duty by slaughtering every living thing in sight. Eventually, I hit a fork in the road and went left where I ran into my first Metroid, and it decides to do this. Okay, that's actually pretty ingenious. If you're going to make a game based around killing one enemy, then you better give it different forms so things stay interesting, and this game does that. Kinda. More on that later. The first form is the Alpha. They're nothing special, just spam missiles till they die. After I kill it, a tremor begins. I headed back and took the right towards the game's first area. On my way, the music changed too. Absolutely nothing. Then I went on to miss one enemy more times than I'd like to admit. Come on. Come on. Come on. Thank you. Afterwards, I entered a new area, the Ruins. The soundtrack's bad. The ruins themselves, on the other hand, are not. They're usually what houses the game's power-ups, and even though it's incredibly obvious who built them, it doesn't really detract from the area's mystery, since you don't know how it got like this. The ruins also house a save point. Just stand on this pillar, press start, and boom! Your game is saved. Here I got my first actual upgrade. Bomb. Afterwards, I found a little passage, got the Ice Beam and Spider Ball. I'm real glad they didn't call it the Sticky Ball. I then massacred the remaining Metroids in the area, and moved on to Area 2. Honestly, at this point, I've started to get used to the game's formula. You enter an area, you get some power-ups, slaughter, then you move on to the next. Area 2 is more of the same, but it has way more power-ups, like the Spring Ball, High Jump Boots, and best of all, the Various Suit. You know, I never actually talked about the power-ups in the last game. Probably because they were kind of forgettable. They just weren't very impactful. Nothing really changes for Samus's movement. She handles exactly the same from beginning to end. In Metroid 2, I get stuff like the Spring Ball, allowing me to jump as the Morph Ball, and later on the Space Jump, which lets Samus jump infinitely. On top of new power-ups, I encountered a new Metroid, the Gamma Metroid, which can be beaten by doing this. Yeah, they're more of the same. Needless to say, fighting these things started getting a little repetitive. A game with ever-evolving enemies should have the fights increase in difficulty, but maybe Area 3 will have something new for me. No! Area 3 is nothing but Gamma Metroids and like one Alpha chilling in the corner. So far, the Metroids have amounted to a new form equals more missiles. I got the Space Jump and Spacer Beam here, which is when I realized that beam weapons don't stack. Also, everything is way too tightly packed. I didn't even mean for that to rhyme, that just happened. What I mean is the upgrades are often placed in pretty much the exact same area, and sometimes they're literally in the same room, like Why? This makes them less satisfying to find because you're not exploring the entire area, just a little section of it. The Metroids don't really make up for this since they're not entirely fun to fight at this point in the game. I will say that Arachnus is an exception, dodging my attacks, making me have to actually think, and he hits like a truck. So far the game's getting kinda tiresome, there's not a lot of variation in the combat or exploration, but nothing compares to the stupidity of the next two areas. Area 4 is a linear shot to a single Metroid, which at first made it seem like the game was leading up to something big, like maybe a new form perhaps? No, it's just another Gamma. Killing it opens up Area 5, which houses a single Alpha and Gamma Metroid, and once they're dead, I had to backtrack to Area 4 because it leads into Area 6. What the fuck? It kind of feels like padding. Like, what's the point of having these areas otherwise? Why not cut these two and expand a different area? Maybe they could use the extra room to spread out the upgrades a little more and make exploration a lot more entertaining. Area 6 could definitely use that since it's just a vertical shaft with little paths leading directly to Metroids. Speaking of Area 6, this is where I got the screw attack, which coupled with the space jump makes for some of the most satisfying kills in the entire game, and as long as you keep the space jump going, you're fully invincible. This is also where Zeta Metroids get introduced. Poor bastard shouldn't even stand a chance. He's getting annihilated by this goddamn space dragon that evolved from a land jellyfish. Zeta Metroids are more of what I want from the game, a challenging fight that doesn't really overstay its welcome. The area after 6 doesn't really have anything in the way of power-ups and leads to one single Alpha Metroid. Alright, took him down, the tremor is happening, so time to move on and... Wait, what? I can't leave the area. It's blocked off by acid. I don't understand, where am I supposed to go? Oh. Oh, he's bigger now. That's not at all terrifying. This is the Omega Metroid, their final evolution and the most difficult mini-boss in the entire game. Just like the Zeta Metroids, Omegas will follow you around, shoot projectiles, and occasionally swoop down to hit you. They're intense and just dang fun to fight. The next area is entirely comprised of these guys. No upgrades, just fights with the Omega Metroids. Once they're all dead, we move on to the final area of the game. There's one Metroid left, so this should be a snap. Wait. Oh joy! Original Metroids! You shouldn't have.
No.
I really like this area. It kinda reminds me of Torian. This is just a linear shot straight to the final boss with menacing music playing in the background. You can even hear something growling and snarling just below you, ramping up the tension, and then you drop down. This is the Metroid Queen. She'll snap at you 2 times and then shoot out these things that look like those turtle sandboxes, and then repeat. I tried fighting her by dodging her attacks and firing a couple of missiles at a time, and I just kept dying. Then I looked up a YouTube video, realized the fight basically boiled down to, and proceeded to do exactly that until she died. Kinda disappointing, but she looks cool, so I'll let it slide. Afterwards, I ran through this catacomb and came across an egg. Are you kidding me? They're this cute as babies? You know what? Screw the feds. I'm keeping this little death balloon. I'm gonna name you Chucky. Come on, Chucky. You and I got some adventuring to do. You know, Metroid 2 does a lot with the little it has. It's on hardware that's technically inferior, but manages to look better than its predecessor anyway. I like that Samus has better movement, being able to crouch and shoot downwards in mid-air, along with the space jump, spring jump, and spider ball, make exploring the world more varied and entertaining. And those very upgrades feel so much more impactful since Samus handles completely differently in the endgame compared to the beginning. I also love how the plot in the first game is just save the galaxy from pirates, and then this game's plot is
Genocide!
The game isn't at all perfect, fighting Metroids can get tedious after a while, and the map design, while better than the original, just isn't there yet with upgrades being too close to each other, making them less satisfying to collect. But the story is fun, the ending is heartwarming, and I don't think you'd be wasting your time playing the original release. Alright, so that's 2 down, and the ride's been a little bumpy, but overall enjoyable, but that's all about the change. So tune in next time when we talk about a game that absolutely, positively will not kill my boy Chucky.